Alright, as always, you can go to YouTube channel My Medical Nightmare and see 40 plus hours video on everything that happened to me. Alright, medical billing company R1 RCM will be taken private in an $8.9 billion deal announced in August 2024. Reportedly, Towerbrook Capital Partners and Clayton, W. and Rice will acquire the healthcare technology company. The Utah-based company provides services for billing and revenue collection to hospitals, physician groups, and other healthcare organizations. Among them, Ascension. Deal is expected to close by the end of this year. Ascension, a nonprofit Catholic health system, is R1's largest client and biggest shareholder through an investment fund with private equity firm Towerbrook Capital Partners. I was a patient at Ascension's St. Vincent's East Hospital in Birmingham, Alabama. R1 handled the bill regarding my visit in 2019. I experienced medical fraud and negligence in my situation, unresolved, outstanding as of September 2024. Alright, so if you're out there and you're thinking about healthcare treatment, doctors, nurses, and hospitals in the Birmingham area, I will suggest you visit the website Indeed.com. There you will find many reviews of employees of businesses and companies. Just type in the hospital or medical network that you frequent, and you may be surprised at what you see. 1,100 reviews of R1 RCM on Indeed. Quite a few of these are negative or critical. A formerly employed medical records HIM analyst in Salt Lake City, Utah, in March 13th of this year, 2024, writes, "High expectations and an exclusive culture." They add, "Working in medical records during COVID, I watched policies and processes change. My local hospital team were our clients, and unfortunately, we were treated as less than. I learned valuable inside information about how hospitals are run. It did not take me long before I recognized that morally I could not support practices that are contrary to my personal beliefs." A currently employed registrar based in Orem, Utah, writes on March 2nd, 2024, "Consistent boring work made worse every day. Generally, this job is pretty consistent in terms of schedule and workload, where you can expect to be fairly busy for the duration of your shift, and the shifts are consistent. But the company is awful. They consistently introduce new elements that make the work more difficult for patients, registrars, and clinical staff alike. They recently introduced a remote team based out of India, which inputs patient data into hospital systems, leaving their team out of the process almost entirely. As a result, all of our metrics have tanked, and we're consistently locked out of accounts by that team as they take upwards of 30 minutes to complete a single patient. There's far more to this job than meets the eye, and it's made much worse by a meddling C-suite that seeks to justify their own existence via meaningless and onerous add-ons." A currently employed recovery specialist who works remotely writes on July 24th, 2024, "Company is running itself into the ground at record pace." They add, "I've never seen a place plummet so far and fast. Been there for 4 years. They suddenly became overwhelmingly micromanaging overnight. Bonuses are gone. Overtime is gone. Both with no explanations. They are putting all of their focus on global teams and are actually actively firing the people that trained the offshore teams. People are suddenly given way more work outside of their job description with no extra pay. Everyone is making less money than they ever have and doing more work than ever. A formerly employed authorization coordinator in Tuscumbia, Alabama writes on February 3rd, 2024, "Good management until you see beneath the mask." They add, "Worked for a hospital on campus and our positions were contracted out to R1. Everything was sold as rainbows and sunshine in a WFH job." That's work from home. "It was great until we learned that we would not only manage our own facility, but also others under the same umbrella, most in other states. Then only found out later that the other representatives they had assisting or training under us were made to replace us, and we had to apply for a different position within the company." Next review. A formerly employed physician advisor who works remotely writes on July 20th, 2023, "Toxic team lead." They add, "Horrible place for a physician micromanaging team lead of the physician advisory services, backed by equally horrible management. Poor communication skills, no work-life balance. Impossible to make production, and they make it impossible to make a bonus, which they promised during the interview. People are being fired, though they do excellent work and work very hard. People who have been with the company for years with no issues. People are quitting left and right, and the only reason is the toxic leadership, lack of insight, and poor communication with unrealistic expectations. They lie to clients and promise what cannot be delivered. No tools to do your job. Completely immature responses to concerns filled with excuses and no interest to listen and change processes for the good of the overall workflow."
You've reached the Objection System Office General Mailbox. After the tone, leave a detailed message and someone will respond to your call. Thank you.
I'm trying to reach CEO Joseph Impeachike, and he can contact me at that number, and I have a message that I would like to give to Ascension. Between 2018 and 2019, I was an emergency department patient at Ascension St. Vincent's East Hospital in Birmingham, Alabama. I believe I had broken my neck. I had an x-ray, 2 CT scans, and later an MRI looked at by Ascension St. Vincent's doctors. Each time they had told me I had no injuries in this area, I knew their diagnosis was an error as my condition worsened. The area became infected and infested with parasites. By summer 2019, I almost died. I obtained my medical records from your hospital along with the x-ray, CT, MRI imagery, and discovered the truth of my injury. I had broken bone in the underside of my skull in the area of the condylar canal and occipital condyle. How the doctors could have missed such a large and serious injury over multiple hospital visits is inexcusable. I believe some element of organized corruption may exist in this hospital. I have compiled over 10 hours of video documentation on what happened to me on my YouTube channel, and the name of the channel is My Medical Nightmare. I believe I may have been a victim of patient dumping in the course of my seeking treatment, which is a violation of EMTALA, E-M-T-A-L-A. When I told medical staff associated with Ascension about my discovery that I had been misdiagnosed repeatedly, I was personally attacked and my psychological state was challenged, and this is reflected in medical records I obtained later. I could not obtain proper treatment or diagnosis for this injury because doctors and nurses that I would subsequently have encounters with would only entertain what the erroneous Ascension ER findings were. My mother, who was a nurse for 20 years, had the misfortune of working in an Ascension hospital. When I questioned my MRI findings involving St. Vincent's Ambulatory Healthcare Network LLC and Dr. Michael Brandt Ruff, MD, radiologist, in March 2019. My mother, who was a nurse for 20 years and worked in the Ascension Hospital, she was terminated from her job there around the same time. And so this phone call, I challenge the misdiagnosis of Ascension St. Vincent's East Hospital, Birmingham, Alabama, and I challenge the policy of this hospital. And Mr. Pichike, I think you need to look into this, please. Please listen to my message, look into what I'm saying, and you're free to contact me. Thank you.